Millage, Ms. Jermaine, and Dr. Pierre. I think I have that correct.
All yours, Robbie.
All right, so good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30. We will get started in our June Government and Budget Committee meeting promptly at 6:35. So we have a few more minutes. We're looking for a few of you to arrive online and a few more to arrive here at 215 West 125th in person. Hopefully everyone's staying hydrated and out of the sun and out of the heat. 5 more minutes, we'll get started. All 4 now. Thank you. They're ready? So good evening again, everyone. My name is Charles Powell. I am the Chair of the Government and Budget Committee. I'm going to repeat that name again because when we started this process earlier in the year, as you know, it was Budget and Government Oversight Committee. Our board has made the determination in our monthly board meeting, I think earlier this month, was able to vote and say that the suggestion of this committee that we move the name to Government and Budget Committee is what we will now be known as. So welcome everyone to the Monday, June 23rd, 2025 Government and Budget Committee. At this time, I'm going to ask my two vice chairs to introduce themselves, starting with Vice Chair Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Palmer, and I'm Vice Chair of what's the name of
The Government and Budget Committee. It's going to take a minute for
Government and
people
Budget
to get used to it.
I also serve on the Education, Youth, and Libraries Committee.
Mr. Tyson.
Ms. Letta Tyson on the Vice Chairs Committee. I'm also on the Land Use and Housing Committee as well.
Okay, I'm going to then ask for the other members of the committee to introduce themselves, starting with
I'm
Ms. Glover.
Delphenia Glover. I am second vice chair of Committee Board 10 and a member of this committee as well as Housing and Land Use.
Ms. McClure.
Hi, everyone. Brianna McClure. I'm a member of this committee. I'm a member of the Economic Development Committee, and I'm secretary of Committee Board 10.
And I'm pleased to introduce the first time for this committee, and I think for the first time in several standing community board committees, we now have a community member who is a standing member of this community. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Richards.
I don't know whether or not the owl is picking up these soft voices from Stephanie and Dawn, but that was Dawn Richards, introducing herself, and this is Stephanie Palmer. So please welcome everyone. So I know we have a few community board members. I think Donna Gill is on. Ms. Gill, can you introduce yourself? And do we have any other members?
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Actually a member of this committee and the community board. So I'm Donna Gill, and I am on the Health and Human Services Committee and Housing and Land Use Committee, and actually the Government and Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we've been joined at the table. Hello? I think we've been joined by, I've not met you, so I'm sorry that I'm not able to introduce you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry I'm late. I'm Dario Maestro. I've been a neighbor of Florida for the past 3 years, and by day I am an attorney.
And you're a new member of
And
Manhattan Community Board 10.
Welcome.
Welcome. And also a new member of this committee. So I'm just going to ask you another question or two. Have you been to any other committee meetings since you joined the board?
I'm going to the Land Use and Housing Committee tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So this is actually your first
This is my first.
committee meeting. That's why I just wanted everyone. So welcome up. So what everyone should know, especially our folks in the room, we are just had the pleasure of welcoming a brand new class of 2025 new community board members, of which Maestro is one of the persons. Welcome to this committee. Welcome to the community board. And let me now take an opportunity to have the district office representatives in the room introduce themselves. Starting with our district manager.
Good evening, everyone. Mina White, District Manager for Manhattan for 10. Pleasure to be with you all this week.
Mr. Walton.
My name is Miguel. I work here in the district office, and before I move on, I'd like to say how smart they are, because even as a new member, he knew who to sit next to. But welcome, everyone.
So we have a couple of guests that will be introduced when they are announced, but why don't we just go around the room, and why don't we start with you and go around the room, and for our community members and our invited guests, please introduce yourself.
Yes, Malcolm Barksdale, member of the community, and Emmanuel Peterson, Historical Society.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah. I'm coming from the Independent Budget Office. I'm a community engagement specialist. And I really appreciate you all having me there.
Welcome.
Hi, and I'm Benjamin Solitaire, Senior Advisor at the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Thank you.
Mr. Baggett.
I'm Gregory Baggett, April Randolph Square, David Lane. Good to see you here. I've sent you a million proposals. You never took one of them, but you do great work.
All right, so we've introduced everyone. Again, welcome. This is a difficult day for lots of New Yorkers. So, you know, we are grateful for each and every one of you who decided that, especially Delcinia. I'm so happy Delcinia said, you know, I would love to stay home in air conditioning, but that shows her commitment to not just this community board, but to this community. So I felt like that warranted a special acknowledgement, Bianna, Stephanie, Del, and, you know, all of you who have made it here, you know, thank you for coming out today. So.
Thank you for that, but that was a private conversation.
Well, nothing is ever private with me. I think you've learned that by now.
Oh, I'm glad
Okay,
We have William Allen.
Mr. Allen, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, colleagues on the committee and board members present. I'm William Allen. I'm on the Government and Budget Committee. I'm also the chair of the Public Safety Committee. I also serve on the Personnel Committee and the Executive Committee. And I apologize for being tardy, but this is the day before Election Day. And part of my big responsibility in Harlem is to make sure that Harlem votes. And I've been doing this for the last four more decades. So I apologize if I'm not there in the nice, cool office. I'm out here in this heat, but I hope to be with you soon. Yeah, make you feel guilty, you know. But Charles said you guys made it there, so I'm happy you made it there. But I want you to know I'm out here working for us. I'm out here working for us. So
All
I
right.
hope you shortly.
Stay hydrated, stay cool as much as possible. Keep up all the work.
Thank you.
Do we have any of our representatives or elected officials?
No, sir.
Sorry?
Oh, Derek came on too.
Derek
Yes, Mr.
Perkinson, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Happy pre-election day. I'm Derek Perkinson, a member of Community Board 10 Harlem, a proud member. And I also sit on Public Safety as Vice Chair and also sit on Parks and Recreations. And I also sit on this beautiful committee. Sorry, I was absent last meeting. I was kind of under the impression I wasn't on this committee, but now I have solid confirmation from my good friend Miguel, and I will not be missing any more of these meetings. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to have you in the leadership role, and good to see everyone there.
Awesome. So let's start with, I guess we're now at Hannah. You can come up to the table. Miguel, I don't know where you want Hannah to be in terms of her presentation. And your last name is Leverens? Leverens?
Yes, that's
Okay, Hannah Leverens from the New York City Independent Budget Office. She is a community engagement specialist, so welcome.
Yeah, I
Hannah.
did the form for you. Thanks. I can be volunteering too.
I was just gonna take a minute. I didn't realize she had sent me and the.
So Anna, why don't you talk about, and I can, say, what brought you here today? You know, what you intend to present to us, so we can get started, so we
That
won't
sounds
have
great. Well,
any of these quiet
yeah,
moments.
The Independent Budget Office, which you're, you know a lot about, but we are an independent city agency. We really exist to take community questions about the budget, and be an educational resource to people that want to, take part in the budget process. We also just recently started doing a lot of youth workshops, so we've been in a lot of high schools around New York City. We're expanding that to colleges as well, but our primary role is to not only do independent analysis of the city budget, but also to educate people about how to engage in the budget and how to find things that they care about in the budget. A little bit about me: before coming to the Independent Budget Office, I was a middle school teacher. So I work a lot with the education team, and if you have any specific questions about the education budget or how that works, or you're looking for something specific in that budget, I could probably help you with that. And then in terms of the presentation, I'm gonna go over just some city budget basics. This might be kind of a review for you guys, but I'm gonna be talking about like the timeline, the key players, and I'm gonna skip through this because I think you guys are probably aware of that process. But then I also was reading through your needs statement last week. And I found that sometimes you guys got responses from city agencies and they said like, oh, you know, what's in your needs statement isn't specific enough. We can't really help you with this because it's not like you're not making yourself clear in terms of what you want us to do with the budget. And so I'm going to take one example from a program that you put in your needs statement called the CURE program. And I'm going to walk you through how you can find the funding for that in publicly available documents. So this way, you know, if there's a program that you really care about, hopefully after this demo, you'll be able to look that up yourself in these budget documents and then like look for budget numbers that are relevant for either writing your needs statement or identifying program funding for programs that you really care about. So,
Great. So again, Miguel, are we ready to queue up?
do you want me to email it to you? Okay, just give me 1 second.
I know you said awesome, and I went back to the form and still I didn't see that.
Fine. Okay. What's the best email for you?
So while we are waiting, especially for those who are on the line and in the room, especially our new member, you've not had the advantage of being here for a couple of the meetings. We've been finding our way as a brand new committee for Manhattan Community Board 10. In addition to the fact that we have come up with the name, which is now Government and Budget, we've been talking about our mission and purpose. And we know it's kind of dual and maybe threefold. You know, certainly I am encouraging this particular, committee and our community board overall to become better versed and educated in the entire budget and budgetary processes, not only of the city of New York, but the state of New York, and to some degree, even the federal government. But most, importantly, city, budget. So that is part of what you will see Hannah being here for. So it is educational, informational, and I think that is empowering. If we speak for our community, we need to be versed. I know that I have members of this particular committee who have engaged in budgetary considerations. So I'm just, again, doing all of this while we're waiting for Hannah to get queued up, Certainly, there will be some level of engagement, as you can see later on under new business. I have some ideas on how this committee, our community board, can be a little bit better engaged with government entities. Oftentimes, as you can see from this agenda, we welcome individuals to come and attend our meetings. So we wait for them. I think what I'm going to be recommending for this committee is that we go to them and not just go to them locally. That means our council personnel, those who happen to be right down the street in the state office building, go to the council, meet with the speaker and their representatives, meet with, the key players in New York City government that deal with budget, meet with agency heads, whether it be the Parks Department, whether it be, the Department of Transportation and so forth. So we're going to have greater engagement, which means outreach. One idea, and I'm kind of going ahead while I'm waiting for the presentation. So I've jumped down to Roman numeral 6B, that I'd love to see us, I know that Delcenia has already said, don't mention her anymore, so I'm not going to mention Delcenia. I know Delcenia and Brianna and others and Gregory, they actually go to hearings and they really, really go and they advocate and they speak for us. What would it look like if we had a committee that would really, really just decide to go to key hearings on different kinds of things and make our presence felt and make those voices heard? And, you mentioned, one example of just getting to an agency, but, there's no reason why we can't meet with the agency heads, and go through and take those trips. That I never will forget, and I'll end on this and then go to you, Hannah, if we're ready to be queued up. I never will forget when the Honorable Hazel Dukes spoke at the homegoing service and funeral for Bill Perkins. And one of the things that she said to the Speaker of the, of the Assembly and the Senate, she said, if you want to honor him, be like him. That, the NAACP would go to Albany and Bill Perkins would meet them at the bus station and give them a briefing and walk them through government up there, into the governor's office, into the senator's office, into the assembly office, on the floor, of those, so how many of us have even walked into the city council? I mean, I know, yeah, so, and so that's all you hear me, that's all you
State
hear.
Senate, governor's office.
Yeah, and so the bottom line is, if we speak for the community, let's be a little bit more engaged and
Yes.
impact. And so Hannah, if we're ready, I'm ready for you, and thank you for this little exercise, Miguel, of finding it. So,
Would you rather handle it? Because you can also sit
I
there
can-
and talk.
I can take the keyboard if that's okay with you. I used to do all the time.
okay, Anna, take us where you need to go.
Yeah, so first I'm gonna start by just letting you know what the Independent Budget Office is. For those of you that don't know, I kind of give you an overview before, but we do independent analysis of the city budget. That means we're not associated with the mayor's office. But we do our independent analysis, tracking programs and spending from documents that the mayor's office puts out. And then again, we're available to the public for any questions that you might have on, how much money does this program get? Or is this program included in the executive budget? We're there to answer all of those questions for you. So in terms of our work, we do 3 charter mandated reports. Again, those are the analysis that we do periodically of the city budget. But then we also have reports that just look at, different city services and how they're spending. I'm just gonna highlight 2 of them here because I know there's a lot of education people here in the room. We did a district level look at pre-K and 3K enrollment all around New York City. So obviously some districts have more access to pre-K and 3K than others. And this report is going to allow you to pull up your district, see what pre-K and 3K access looks like in your specific district, and then use that for any advocacy that you might be interested in. We're really hoping that city council as well as city planners can use this information for strategic investments of like opening new pre-Ks and 3Ks in areas that really need it. But again, that's available to you, as well as a report that we did at the district and the school level, looking at school accessibility. We know that over half or around half of New York City schools in all across the city are considered not accessible by accessibility standards to children with disabilities or special needs. And so this report allows you to pull up your own school's information as well as your district's information so that you can perform that kind of advocacy for your community. So those are just 2 examples of the types of report that we do. But again, we just try to make it very actionable in district level so people can use it again for advocacy or whatever purposes that you need it for. We're gonna just do a quick review of the city budget basics, and I'm gonna highlight some key dates, like you said, where city council members can get engaged, or sorry, community members can get engaged. So we're right here, and the New York City fiscal year is actually about to begin again, in about a week. On July 1st, that is the kickoff of when the New York City year for fiscal spending starts. In terms of community boards, we really encourage people to start getting involved as soon as possible. Obviously, your need statement is due around November 1st. But then between the preliminary budget and the executive budget, that's a great time for community members to go to public hearings, to advocate for the things that they want included in the budget. And then also between April and June, when the adopted budget is put out, that's another great time where we see a lot of community members signing up for public hearings or going to City Hall to advocate for more funding for their community. And it's not just community board members that can go, anyone can sign up for these public hearings. And so kind of the key dates that we start here are times that people can get really engaged before that adopted budget comes out and kind of locks in the fiscal spending for the year. Does anyone have questions on this timeline?
So, Hannah, tell us a little bit about, based on your experience, what you've seen happen between that January and April timeframe.
Yeah.
Have you seen community boards, for example, go out and advocate on different things within that time frame? And where did they go and what did they do?
Definitely.
Just some examples.
All the city hearings are like public online. You can sign up for them. Because I work with education specifically, I see a lot of like advocacy groups go. Class size advocacy, it was a very obviously successful one. But they were trying to reduce class sizes and they would go to city council again and again and advocate for their priorities. And then I also see a lot of college students go to and talk about the CUNY budget and what's important for them within that. But I'll also show you an example of like, you know, how much the budget does change between executive and adopted when we talk about the CURE program. But you really do see increases in the budget when people go and advocate for these priorities. And I think that'll be highlighted in some of the numbers that I show you as well. Any other questions on timeline? Okay. And then also just as a refresher, the preliminary budget is kind of the first round budget that the mayor proposes to city council. That obviously changes between the executive and the adopted budget, and that's really due to community members advocating, as well as city council members negotiating with the mayor's office and agencies requesting way more money in their budget. So those are kind of the key dates to pay attention to. I might need that mouse. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. So some of the primary budget actors, just as a review, the Office of Management and Budget, we would say is kind of the key stakeholder in making budget decisions because OMB is the one that is always proposing the budget. And within that, we would also say city council members are really important because they're really the ones that are representing their communities and doing negotiations with OMB. And then lastly, you have us, the Independent Budget Office, that you can always reach out to for budget questions. You have the comptroller that approves contracts and also audits spending for city agencies. And then you have the Financial Control Board. I don't want to say they don't matter, but they're not as relevant for, you know, everyday community members because they're kind of a relic coming out of the 1970s fiscal crisis. And so they were really there to make sure we don't get into another one.
You position the OMB report with the timeline?
Sorry?
Can you situate the?
Yeah, so that's here, the prelim report, the executive, and then the adoptive report. These are all OMB documents. So let's talk about the differences between operating and expense budget. So the operating budget is the budget that I'm going to be paying most attention to today, because I think that's probably what you guys, you know, is maybe relevant to you because we're going to be talking about everyday expenses like salaries, supplies, and services. And when you think about things like teacher salaries or everyday expenses, that's going to be covered under the operating budget. There's also a separate capital budget, and the capital budget is also adopted annually and runs on a similar timeline, but it's going to cover more long-term projects. So things like building a library or building a new school. Those are things that are going to be covered by the capital budget, and that requires a little more long-term planning and are usually financed by the city selling bonds. So quick, just going over a capital project really quickly. The two main criteria for a capital project in terms of city spending are that it's really expensive. So a project that falls under capital has to cost at least $50,000 and it also has to last for a long time. So the city will do kind of an expense report and make sure that the project has to, you know, be useful for at least 5 years in order for it to count as a capital project. Okay, so quick quiz for you all. Make sure you're paying attention. Let's do a quick 3-question, is it capital or not, review. So number 1, if we're talking about repaving a street, would this fall under capital project or expense budget? Capital. Capital, nice. What about hiring 10 new engineers?
Operating.
expense.
Exactly, expense, right? Because that's an everyday thing. What about installing a sidewalk extension? Actually, this one's a trick one because it really depends. The city does case by case basis for sidewalk extensions. So a big one like you're seeing in this photo, that would definitely be a capital project. But something like adding in a pedestrian, little red thing right there, that would be expense because it costs less than $50,000. Okay, so this is just a breakdown of, the fiscal year expense budget. So on this year, New York City is set to spend over $115 billion as of the executive budget. That number will probably go up in the adopted budget. But the biggest categories that we see spending on are, education. So, the Department of Education spends around a third of the city budget. And then we also see social services and then public safety and judicial funds taking up, large portions of the budget. If you're interested in like a more granular breakdown of what exactly is in these categories, I can send you this information if you want. But just to give you a sense of what New York City is kind of prioritizing within the budget.
Yep, what's an example of a miscellaneous?
A miscellaneous,
Yeah.
that's kind of like a tricky category for us, but a lot of times that has to do with like collective bargaining with unions.
I see.
Or like pensions, and so that all gets kind of lumped into that miscellaneous category. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna go through that example that I was talking about, and I'm gonna focus on the Cure Violence Prevention Program, because that was a program that you mentioned a lot in your need statement. I'm gonna show you using some documents that I'm gonna go over, how you can find how much is being spent on this program, as well as how it varies year to year. This, I think, would be a really great thing to include in your need statement if, like, agencies are coming back to you and saying you're not being specific enough. I'm gonna show you how you can pull that information from these publicly available documents so that you can get back to them with specifics.
So just before you go on, back on the next slide, the question came up, and I noticed down at the bottom, it says Parks and Recreation. So they do have their own budget?
They do, and then a lot of parks, like Central Park, for example, also have conservatories, so these are like privately run organizations that also help to fund parks, but they're not part of the city budget. But then not all parks have a conservatory, right? If you're a smaller park in an area that's not as well serviced, you might not get that private funding. But in terms of city spending.
They have a pot to go to.
Yes, yeah, but if you break out parks by itself, it's like 0.3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very small percent of the budget.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna skip ahead to looking at the documents. The first document that I looked at, again, these are all publicly available and I can follow up with all the links and everything. The first document that I looked at is called the Mayor's Office of Management and Budget Departmental Estimates. This document is going to be kind of like your table of contents. You're gonna use this document to find the agency that you are interested in. In this case, I'm looking at the Department of Youth and Community Development, right? Because they're the agency that runs Cure Violence Prevention. So each one of the agencies, there are hundreds of them, are all numbered, and this is how New York City at the highest level is going to fund each agency. So I looked for Department of Youth and Community Development, just like Control 5 on my computer or Control F to find it. And I found that Department of Youth and Community Development is agency number 260. So that gave me good information to know that, the city is using 260 to deliver funds into the Department of Youth and Community Development. I was then interested in looking at specifically, again, Cure Violence. So that I, again, controlled F and found that Cure Violence is connected to the specific budget code called 4010 CMS. And again, the budget code just is how the city types in numbers into their computer to allocate money to that. Is everyone following me? Okay. So, yep, so I used my table of contents, found the department that I was interested in, then found Cure Violence. And then next, I pulled up a different document. This one's really thick. It did crash my computer when I tried to load it. But this is called the Expense Revenue Contract. for the executive budget. I was able to, again, using those numbers that I found before, look at the Office of Neighborhood Safety, which is the office that funds the CURE program, and try to look at how much was in their budget, and that is $149 million. So I was able to get to that number pretty quickly using the table of contents. But this is a really great resource for you guys because, you know, if you're emailing the agency, it might be helpful to like include a number and just be really specific about the program that you're looking for. But just to go back to your question about like, do the numbers change between executive and adopted? I then went to the adopted budget for that year and found that it did change, right, by $30 million. So it went from 149 million to 177. And that's because people really care about this program. They think that's something that should be heavily invested in. And so when I looked at news from that time, I found that people were saying like, oh, we need to add more to this budget. And so that's probably why the number ended up changing from 149 to 177. But it's also, I think for communities to look at because you can always like pull up last year's budget, make sure there haven't been cuts in the programs that you care about, and then include that information in it as well. So that's the really quick tutorial. I know that it's a lot of information, so if any of you guys are ever interested in doing this for a program that you care about or are interested in, I'm happy to sit with you and try to pull it up if you want. And that's pretty much it from me. Questions?
So I'll start with questions and then go around. I have one.
Yeah.
If we're interested in really researching and isolating, you know, all of the budgetary allocations that impact this community, you know, that will help us with our district needs process. Is there a quick, you know, way of doing that, or do we have to go through exactly what you've
It's
gone through
tough.
literally each time?
Yeah, it's tough because like I was asking our analysts if there is a quick way, like if there's a spreadsheet that's available. Unfortunately, there's not, and that's why we have to go through this process. But if you ever have questions about like a specific program and you're not able to find it in the document, you can always reach out to us and we can try to look through it for you or just see if there's even changes. Like some people were really interested in summarizing and they were like, is there any cuts to summarizing? That's like a question that we could help you answer too, if you're interested in this.
So one more and then I'll turn it over. When it comes down to council discretionary or capital, is there, you know, like a quick reference if we were interested as to exactly what our particular council, you know, has requested and has, you know, has received in the form of, you know, budgetary, you know, funding for different projects. I know there's a long 1,000-page, you know, list of them. Can you just talk about how you get access to even the omnibus information? And then secondly, how can we isolate that just for this particular council?
You mean when it comes to specific districts for the
Yeah,
city?
council districts.
Yeah, for that, honestly, I don't know if that's something that we really do as an agency, but I would say like if you're interested in a specific program to reach out to your community, like reach out to your district council member specifically, because they probably have that information. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I could look into it and get back to you with the
Okay,
answer.
because I've seen them, I've seen the list and,
Yeah.
you know, they don't, you know, they don't go, sometimes it'll just run on, they'll say, you've seen it.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about where it really just provides, I mean, you really have to go page by page and there's hundreds of pages, you know, to get to, because they don't isolate them or separate them. Maybe Mr. AI can help with that down the
True.
road.
Maybe like
you
put
know.
this document to ChatGPT or something.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah.
I'll pass. Does anyone else first of all, in the room, on the committee have questions first before we turn to anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a specific question.
Yeah.
We successfully advocated for about 150,000 for capital projects for schools in our district. We also asked for that funding in our district needs, our capital request. So when you look at it and you track it, the response was from DOE, who said, you know, we don't have any money to do this. But the reality was we raised the money from council money, borough president's money. How do you track that?
Was it because usually the school construction authority is in
We
charge
called
of it?
them, and we asked them what we wanted a report on the projects they were working on in our
Yeah.
district.
Yeah,
And they seemed like they couldn't break it down. And what she finally said was, I can send you our annual report, but was not able to break it down
by
schools
district
and how
level,
we track it.
interesting. I do have an analyst in our department that works really closely with SCA, so I could put you in touch with her, because
That'd
she
be
might
great.
know better. But yeah, I also did have your school district information on here. I know you guys are 3, 5, and 6. So one of the resources that you might want to use is looking at our district level ratings of building accessibility. If you look at 3, for example, you have a pretty significant amount that is partially or not accessible, and so that's a great thing to use for advocacy. We also have it at the school level, so if you're asking for upgrades for a specific school, you can also use this resource. But I have heard that SCA is sometimes unresponsive, but I'll try to get you in touch with someone that could give you a contact or, yeah, thank you.
Okay, on questions from other committee members first, and then board members, and then community. Any other committee members? Any questions? Any other persons, any board online, any hands up? Mr. Walters? No. Okay. Any community members here or online that have questions?
I wanted to ask, but I think you answered this question before we go on.
Then you, I think the owl has to hear correctly, so speak up just a little bit.
I think you answered the question, but I wanted to ask it again. At least the way that I've expressed it to others. So, in terms of district meetings, right, our community moving forward is oftentimes focused on what the community is expressing that they need through surveys and other mechanisms. And then those responses in many ways become the basis for the community needs statement. What's not looked at is where the government is intending to spend money. And so I'm wondering, are there documents, I think you've answered the question, but what are the documents that would indicate to the community? And it's just, just understanding that if the community is advocating for the color blue, but money is being directed at the color red, the logic would be to advocate for blue, but also see what you can secure for the community for the color red. Is security where the projected spending is going is not a part of the distribution.
Do you mean projected spending in terms of like different programs, or like, do you mean like future spending, or do you just mean it's hard to track?
Even priority, where you might be standing in a space where there is no longer any interest or money. And there might be a need there, but the money is not there.
That's why I would say our suggestion would be for the community needs statement is to be like very specific with what exact programs you care about, because what we've heard from other community boards too is that they just get kind of like tossed off by the city agency because their need assessment is not specific enough, or they're not pointing to specific programs. So it is really unfortunate, but I think being really specific with like what exact program and what exact, what programs you want to see more funding for is probably going to help some of that miscommunication between the agency and the community board. But, I don't know, that's tough. I don't work for those agencies, so I'm not sure, but let me think about that too and get back to you with a better answer.
That's good. Is there any other persons?
Donna Gill.
Donna has her hand up. So Donna, this will be our last question.
Oh, yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank Hannah because on such short notice, I got you to come over there. And I really appreciate you. And we would invite you to come back. I know Stephanie is thrilled to have you there, especially with education. And that's part of your presentation that I really wanted you to get devolved into, because I knew Stephanie would be there. And thanks, Hannah. I appreciate you.
We're also having a school budget.
And Donna, thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you the flyer.
I just want to, I was going to do that anyway, but Donna, thank you for both presenters tonight. Actually, you called earlier last week, and I'm glad we were able to get it done. Thank you for always being very proactive. So, and Hannah, thank you so much for coming out. We will make sure that you're not going to be a stranger or others, associated with, with your office. But we really appreciate you coming out, especially on such a difficult night, as tonight for everyone to be moving around. So we are going to move the agenda. Madam Vice Chair, you can either do your district needs since you're old business now, or if you'd like to. We do have another guest. We have, Benjamin Solitaire, who is going to be presenting for the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. What is your prerogative?
I would say let's continue on our budget theme and have our guest speak first.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Benjamin, so we're gonna go to new business and then back to, district names.
Okay, I'm not. All right. Yeah, I want to also thank Donna for the invitation. She is one of the commissioners at the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. I don't have a presentation, but I have lots to say and lots of questions, I think. And thank you to Hannah. The IBO has been a partner of ours before, so always good to get a refresher on all of that. Yeah, my name is Benjamin Solitaire. I'm the senior advisor at the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Does anybody know who we are? Yes, you do. Hopefully, you know us.
So tell us who you are.
Yeah, so we're unique in that we were created in 2018 through a ballot referendum, city charter referendum. So we were voted on. There was some advocacy in the year or two before that, there should be a civic engagement commission as part of the city government, charged with getting people more involved, with restoring trust in government, and getting, letting people know ways that they can get involved. So that advocacy led to the referendum amendment, which and we have ended up with three basic tasks in that, other than restoring trust in city government, which is our overarching goal. Not the simplest task, but we're working on it. No, we have three primary functions, one of which I'll talk about a lot in more detail, but one of which is providing trainings to community boards citywide. I'm sure I'm sure Ms. White gets emails. Yes. Yes. So we've done that over the last, I'm in my about third year there, 3.5. They have been Zoom for everybody. This year we took a little bit of, or since January, a little bit of different approach where we reached out to the borough president's offices, and we had heard that de-escalation was a training that was needed and some discussion to be had around that. And we offered all the VP's offices in-person training for about 25 to 30 community board members, mostly around DMs and chairs to start, just because that's a good number to have. And we did it for Manhattan did not take us up on that, but we did it for Queens, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. And then I sent out an email to everybody asking if you wanted to have parliamentary procedure trainings that we could do for whatever your board wanted. So I decided to go, instead of the big net for everybody, I decided to go a little more focused and offering more personalized things, which I thought worked out very well. Certainly will make the offer again as we move on. I think that's more a much more successful, not just de-escalation of parliamentary procedure, but to the extent that we can offer trainings that benefit boards. We're a small group. We don't have a lot of money, but we to an extent that we can, we want to do that. So that's one. We also, especially relevant, well, they're all relevant right now, but we provide language interpretation services for primaries and general elections for languages not done by the Board of Elections. So we do, again, not that big, but we have about 100 or so poll sites. I think tomorrow we'll have more, but for the primary, for the early voting, and then it grows. We have 200 people out tomorrow around the city providing languages so that people can vote in their own language, because that's the right of everyone. So that, and then we have this program, the one you have there, the People's Money. Anybody familiar with the People's Money? No, okay. Well, thank you, Donna, for having me. So, the People's Money is the citywide participatory budgeting process. Who's your council member here? What?
Salam.
Oh, okay. So, he does not do, PB.
Exactly.
Because it is the council process, which I worked on for 10 years. Is a voluntary process. About 27 members did it this year. But one of the big impetuses behind us being created was to have a citywide participatory budgeting process so that everybody in the city has a chance to weigh in on how to spend part of the city budget. We love the council process, great process. We wish more people did it. But you can vote in ours, no matter where you are in the 5 boroughs. So we're part of the mayor's office. We're under the Office of Engagement, which has PEU, CAU, and NYC service also. And we do like their process. We spend the fall collecting ideas from residents around the city. We partner, again, we're 25 people, but we partner with about 80 to 100 organizations around the city. To get ideas about how to spend part of the city budget. We evaluate those ideas, because we get thousands of ideas and we can't put that on a ballot, too many ideas. So we use these, what we call borough assemblies, which are, every borough gets 25 members who are randomly selected. They apply, but they're randomly selected to decide which of those. In Manhattan, there's about 600 ideas. We can only do, big difference between capital and us. As Hannah thankfully explained, we do expense projects. We do not do capital. So we can do projects like mental health services, job training, language services, youth services, senior services, things like that. All come from the residents of the city. But people still suggest things we can't do, so we sort of work through those. And we end up with a ballot. We bring to the borough assemblies about 80 ideas, and they end up with a ballot from Manhattan of about 10. In Manhattan, we're going to fund 4 of those, and then they get implemented by CBOs in the city. So once the final ideas are selected, we put out an RFI for those ideas, and we award them to community organizations to make them happen and to serve. And what's good about it, because we are literally 2 days away from the vote ending, but we'll make sure that everybody votes. Once they're finalized, we get the winners. We'll put out the RFI, and they'll be implemented. Their implementation will begin before the fall or by the fall, so they'll be underway. And we've done the first year we did 46 projects. Last year we did 20. We'll do another 20 this year. So we've already completed 46 projects. Another 20 are wrapping up, and we're about to begin another cycle for another 20. So it's really.
Have you given out
no
cards to everyone?
No, but let's do that.
I was hoping that even as you're speaking, people would have a chance kind of.
Oh, yeah. No, I've always wanted
it and open up with the QR code and.
Yes, let's do that.
Start looking in and start getting, especially for our community.
There you go.
Members and all the rest.
I voted. You voted.
I vote twice?
No, you cannot.
I don't want to get it.
Early ballot in Chicago.
I did vote.
Oh, okay, good.
We were member chief, it's,
okay.
Sarah was in the church. Was in church yesterday.
Yes, she told me she went by.
We voted.
Yes, good.
Larry was supposed to show up, but he didn't, but that's okay. So, yes, so that is a reason why we wanted you to come and hand out the cards. And are we able to at least get it onto the screen, Miguel, where everyone who's online can see?
Oh, you could go to
If we have.
you could go to participate. If you want to send them the either this URL or just participate.nyc.gov.
Because we have community e-blast flyers.
Yeah.
So that
You have already.
We have.
Fantastic. That's
Can
great.
you, I'm just saying, can you put it on the screen?
I can say I can find it.
We can see if you can find.
If you go to participate.
I can move it. I think we talked about it at economic development earlier
great.
this month. And we have a little blurs about kind of a brief description about what the different categories are that.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing I am requesting so that everyone can see, we're looking online, there's a QR code on this palm card that I'm asking, can we put that up so that you would also be able to see, since you're not here present and not receiving. But Miguel is also mentioning the fact that it is in our newsletter. And you can go on to that and please open up the QR code. Yeah, Donna had asked, and we are in agreement, we're just asking for those who are able, please vote, because this ends on the 25th.
Yeah.
How can I see like other parts of the borough, other parts of the cities, what they had to vote for, you know what I'm saying?
We should have those on our website, participate.nyc.gov. Or you could, I mean, you could put in another borough zip code to look at their ballot, but hopefully you would have voted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are we have a .gov site, but we have, participate.nyc.gov is the primary people's money site. These little, this little character here, this little yellow fella, and on the flyer, that's called a Sunny. They were introduced last year as our mascot. They're all over New York City. They come in little statues like this big, and they come in puppets that are 12 feet tall, and they have a big inflatable one too. But there are our mascot. They're on the subway ads, they're bus ads, all that. So, yeah, if anybody think it's, I don't know if anybody wants to vote right now while we're here. It takes 5 minutes. I don't know. I want to
Or
meeting
less.
or less.
It's actually pretty quick.
Can I leave these here for you guys? Do people come in the office much?
Yeah.
We go out a lot, so. Okay, yeah, great. Then you can have those.
So can you just talk a little bit, I mean, we are Manhattan.
Yes.
Is it okay to talk about some of the programs that people, when they go online, are looking? I saw some really, do
Do you mind if I have to apologize? I don't remember all 46 projects that are on the
Yeah.
ballot.
I mean, so you really have some youth mentorship programs.
Yeah.
Some mental health programs that's on there. And certainly, there is, I'm trying to remember, there was a, entrepreneurship,
I see
kind of.
Do you have them there?
program.
Well, one for grow and cook your own food. Grow and cook your own food
Yeah.
as well. It's pretty interesting.
People are really
There's some of the
interested in
others like that
What's up?
that are on, you have it open?
Yeah, all of Manhattan, and Brooklyn, all comes up as well. We put that, you want to vote in person, then you can see all the different ones. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
there's some really good selections, and I think you're saying that you vote for your favorite 4, I believe.
No, you can vote for as many as you like, 1 or 10. 4 will get funded.
Oh, 4 with, okay.
4 will get funded, but you can vote for any.
I have a question. I used to kind of work with this board budget with, what's his name? Bill Perkins.
Okay.
I had a moment. And when we did it though, the projects that we took out, or the projects that were recommended was from, his district.
Yeah.
And I just heard you say we can still vote on them, but we're voting on projects that will not basically take place within our or Yusuf's district, correct?
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, the council process all happens with their capital within their district. We are borough wide, and we actually really focus, we have $4 million. It's not going to cover all 5 boroughs. Are you familiar with the TREE neighborhoods, the Task Force for Racial and Economic, racial inequality? Equity, yeah. So those are 33 neighborhoods that were designated under COVID, but they are definitely hard hit. They're underserved neighborhoods. So there's 33, it's about half the city. If you look at the map, somewhere up here, Harlem, Central Harlem, Morningside Heights. So we are focusing services in those hard hit areas, those ones that need it the most. Once we get more funding, because we are at the discretion of the mayor, he has given us $4 million this year. I think it'll be in this budget too. But if we can convince him that it's a great program and worthwhile, if he gives us 50 million or 70 million or 80, then we can serve the entire borough.
But currently what we're voting on will not take place in.
It'll take place in those 3 neighborhoods. So Harlem, Central Harlem, East Harlem.
Benjamin, there's a question.
This is almost sort of a follow-up, to go to your question. We were getting real excited about participatory budgeting, and then I found out my council member didn't do it.
Yeah.
So can you say why a council member would do it or would not? Is there any bonus or plus to doing it, downsides to doing it as a councilman?
Well, I worked for a council member. I am from Brooklyn, so it's nice to travel out of the borough. But my council member did it. But I think that council members, some of them just feel they have the right feedback from the community and that they understand what's needed in the community and they have those connections to spend their money appropriately. I would say you never reach everybody. And we all know the usual suspects. You guys are some of them. You have an active role in the community. But we would make an effort to go to PTAs, go to NYCHA tenant meetings to talk to them about what they need, because not everybody can get out to a community meeting. So I think it takes an effort. It takes. I was a staff member. We had 6 people on staff in Councilmember Levin's office. 70% of my time was working on PV. So I was doing that. Maybe 60, 70. Yeah, I was the director of TV, but I was doing that for him instead of something else. So it does take resources. The central staff doesn't really support the process anymore. So they can't reach out to the speaker's office and get help. So it's a lot of work for that office to do. But I think the benefits are you do hear more of what the community needs when you make that outreach effort and you say, I'm going to put this much money. Nobody's ever put $5 million. They all put $1 million, maybe 2, maybe 2.5. But you make that, so I'm going to let you guys decide where this money gets spent. I think it really builds community. It's also really what I've witnessed too is that it is an on-ramp to future engagement. People might come into this process and be like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to go see. I have an idea though. And they go to a meeting and like, here, this is my idea. This school needs AC or this park needs to be cleaned up. If somebody says, okay, I'm going to write that down and we're going to look at it. We may not get it done, but we're going to look at it. And that just makes people feel engaged. And then if they do see projects that get suggested, get funded and happen, they're like, wow, that worked. I can now, maybe I'll join maybe I'll do something. I'll join the community board. I'll join a PTA. It's an on-ramp. It's a pretty easy on-ramp to engagement.
Well, Benjamin, thank you. I mean, I think that I hope everyone has at least copied the QR code.
I've left, there's some more here too.
And Miguel, thank you for putting it online. It is some engagement. We'll take one question or comment before we move the agenda, Mr. Bag.
Yeah, thank you. I really love both of your groups. Also, I work with both of them. I wanted to ask you, I know at some point the commission was involved or part of a task force that was dealing with the new board term limits and trying to figure out how that process will ultimately play out.
Yeah.
Do you know if there a report has come out or is the work of that task force finished? And the second question is around language and diversity. We're a community board with, I think the Hispanic population is roughly between 19 and 22%.
Okay.
And I don't know if this board has a single person that speaks Spanish.
I speak Spanish.
Who?
I speak Spanish.
Oh,
Now it's 2.
now you have one.
Yes.
Two.
Okay.
And I speak.
I got fluent, but I understand.
Okay.
Three.
Bro.
I don't know where you were when the people needed translation, but they weren't there.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, is that an issue that we should also deal with in terms of that?
Yeah.
Make up the community board?
Oh, well, that's just like you threw a little bit to the question right there. First of all, to the term limits, we did help fund the Future of Community Boards Working Group. We helped with them funding a Center for Urban Pedagogy to do a report about term limits. They did the report that we presented it to all the borough president's offices. They are not running with it. They are not, none of the options were picked up. Every board's dealing with them in a little bit different way, or they're on their own. We will continue to work with the Future of Community Boards Working Group to do what we can to help. We've talked about some things possibly coming up in the fall about how to help with that. So we are involved, but we don't have it's not a major mandate. And then the second part, language access.
Within community board.
Yeah, everybody needs better language access. There's no doubt about it. Again, we don't have the funding to do that. We have done language access workshops for people, and we can recommend interpreters. We can't pay for them. We don't have that funding near Moya, to be honest. So we do advocate that. I think that's what a council member should advocate. So everybody should be out there. We need more. You guys need more funding. I'm sure Ms. White would say that. I'm sure you guys would say that. So that's a council member question.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to end that on this segment, that my glasses, no matter, allows me to hear in one language and it translates automatically. So if you start speaking to me and I turn my language thing on, I will hear you, you speak Spanish, I'll hear it in English, and then I will be able to give you your responses in Spanish.
Really?
You know, so
I got it.
AI is our friend.
That's amazing.
Say that. I can't speak a second language. I'm language, you know, inhibited, but I do have these now that I can, it does it in French, it does it in Italian. And I'm waiting for like some African dialects, but you know, we haven't gotten it yet.
That's
But
amazing.
AI, meta AI. So thank you so much, Benjamin.
Thank you.
I
We'll be
appreciate
in touch.
you,
Oh,
you know,
I'm
you have
sorry.
a question?
Also, the 25th is the last day to vote as well.
Wednesday, yes, Wednesday,
Yeah.
12:59 PM.
25th,
25th is well.
the 25th, get out that vote.
But thank you for getting me here.
Thank you,
You have
Benjamin.
the cards, you don't have any.
And we will make sure that we
Coming.
continue.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
So we're gonna turn now to you. You are, you know, I guess that we've saved the best for last.
Yeah.
The old business presentation district needs the Honorable Stephanie Palmer.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
Chair.
run to the rest.
I have to thank Donna first. Donna like set me up. Because this is like, I'm like so excited about this. And Hannah and Benjamin, thank you so very much. I'm gonna even use some of your language. We are, the usual suspects. You know, our committee members, we're the usual suspects, and I certainly hope that we will look at district needs and the work that we have done over the years to create a good product becomes an on-ramp for future engagement, because for me, we've been focusing on district needs. It's almost like budget with a small bit.
Yes.
But finding out the context of why we do it is something that we really haven't focused on, and I just want to spend a few minutes just letting us figure out what that looks like in the larger picture. And I don't really have a presentation, but I have slides because I love working with Dawn. She makes me look smarter. So thank you, Dawn. Clearly, I think we really need to begin to look at our role in the budget for the development for the development of the city budget. And I want to start, I think it's Donna and Barbara who always take me back to the charter. So I figured, let's start there, because the charter actually speaks to us about what our role is. And I want to make sure that we have a shared knowledge base. I'm excited about the work that this committee will be able to do in relationship to district needs, the development of the statement, but also the budget. Because as I said, and I'll say it several times, we've been focusing on that document, but not thinking about it in terms of context. So I think I've done a favor though, because nobody wants to really read the charter. I was on a charter commission as a commissioner, and I thought it was boring. It was like, a long months of my life. But what we've done for you guys is I have basically given you a copy of the section that speaks to community boards and what our role is. Can you go to the next one? So these are some of the items that basically list what our role is. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I really do want you to look at them in terms of the document that will become part of the file. The next one. We actually have about 6 of them. But I love this. We must prepare and submit to the mayor on or before a date established by the mayor, annual statement of community district needs, including a brief description of our district, and those kinds of activities. So the document that I also have in your package, guys, is the final product. So this is our statement, which I like to say is our strategic plan. And I can argue why I believe that later, but I want you to know that this for me is an incredible resource, as our chair said. There's a lot of data about our district, describes our district, talks about population shifts, and also has identified what we consider to be the most important needs in our community. But again, that's just a one small part of what we've been doing. And I think if you go on and look at some of those, it talks about our responsibility for holding hearings, having to do with what we say the needs are. We really haven't focused on it as much, but again, that's part of what our responsibility is through this process. It doesn't stop with the development of this statement. There's a few
Right.
more. Again, I don't want to like, yeah. Evaluating the capital projects, which is why I was calling the school construction authority. Reaching out to agencies saying what is happening with those school buildings. That's also a part of our responsibility that happens after we've submitted this document. All of that work comes next. And I think there's one more there. I love this one, that it really is our responsibility to evaluate the quality and quantity of services provided by agencies within our community district. And the only way that happens, I think, is by building relationships with those agencies. Like Hannah, I'm gonna become Hannah's new best friend. Because you gotta know who's on the other line and want to get your questions answered. We spent a lot of time tracking. I feel like I've become a stalker to some of the agencies, but you gotta build those relationships and you can't do it within the context of the 30 days that we developed this document. It's gotta be an ongoing process. So I think that was, okay, which was that one? Public outreach, you guys, I'm gonna spend a lot of time talking about public engagement and that survey. This document, which I love, talked about the number of residents, and does anybody know how many residents we have in Central Harlem? I'm like, Hannah, what's the guess? How many residents do we have in Central Harlem?
10?
Did you say 10? About 15, yeah, about 1,500. 1,500. And it's basically, and it's very interesting because what this document will also do, and I believe we submitted this or distributed to all board members in February, but it also lets you know when the shifts have occurred. You know, it's very interesting that, we spent a lot of time this year talking about losing money, losing schools, like having schools closed in the district. But if you look at where the population is from, it kind of goes with the fact that we don't have the kids there, we don't have schools, and we're now starting to combine schools. But we need to be responsive to that and understand what is happening and those connections that are made because of this budget. I'm gonna pick this one more. I think we did that one. I think I did that one. That was with the survey we're gonna talk about. Yeah. Okay, I love this one. One of my teachers and mentors, Dr. Megan McLaughlin, our budget is a mission statement.
Guiding light.
I think Gregory asked the question about the city budget. What's important to the city? I remember that slide you had that said a significant amount of that budget goes to education. And then social services and this much in housing. And when you look at our needs statement, for the past 6 years, at least that I've been involved, affordable housing has been the number one. And then you look at that budget and I go, well, damn, it's like, it's that small. But again, setting the context. Oh, I love this one. I think this is an original. The statement of the district needs is the vehicle that gives the community board the ability to influence the budget of the city of New York. That's an incredible opportunity, which is why I am passionate about this. If we don't make one of the 45 requests for capital or the 25 for expense, we're missing an opportunity. And last year, and we've been doing this now, I've been helping lead this effort for about 4 years. I think we've gotten better and better, but there's still a lot more work to be done. And I think we could do a better job. In this document, we didn't ask for all that money. Again, we left money on the table. And I think it's whether or not it happens or reflected by what happens in the final budget. I still think we have a responsibility to ask and put it on the table and follow up and find out why it didn't happen. So I think this is the policy areas of the ad hoc committee, which was the district needs task force, which is operated. This is new. This committee is new that will now house that effort. But prior to that was always handled through an ad hoc committee. These are the policy areas that the city looks at in terms of the survey and what questions we're asking. So the ad hoc committee was composed of committee chairs because we felt they were closest to the area, to the content. So education, youth and libraries, housing, land use and development, health and human services. Those were the folks who staffed that task force in the past. And those areas will change. So we will continue to focus on the 7 policy and content areas. And they don't all line up if you look. So parks, cultural, and other community facilities. My favorite is poor infrastructure, because I'm not always sure what that means. City services and resiliency. So some of our committees will have to sort of come together to talk about, requests and expenses and what those needs are.
I covered that.
Yeah. Is that the last one? Perfect.
Okay, does anyone have questions or comments? I have a couple of comments that I want to make, but I'm gonna turn to everyone else. Mr. Allen.
Yeah. Could you tell me what has been the councilman's office in the past with relationship to the development of this? How do they work with the community board around this
Great.
budget?
That's a great question. And I have to be honest, at least in my experience, there has not been a lot of outreach to the council's office. Most of our focus has been on the development of this document. And what happens, I think Hannah said, it's due October 31st, Halloween. It's due that we have to get it in. So we only have a few months. We do the survey, we get the information back, we write the narratives, we make the request, and we really haven't done that kind of outreach. We started this year because one of our, at least I can only speak for education with the libraries, after school funding was a huge one for us. We went to the council member to basically say, here's what the community is saying. Here's what we think. We want to talk about your folks. What are your education specialists? What do you think? How can we advocate to address the lack of after school funding in our community? So it started, but it's almost sort of like it started because of that big issue. And we wanted to no one was talking to us about after school success. So we went to our state representative, we went to our council member, we went to our elected.
So William, could you segue right into what my comment was going to be? If you notice under new business under B, greater government engagement.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, one of my mentors taught me, this is when I started practicing law, he said, never forget that paper don't talk. Okay, you can have the greatest pieces of paper and the greatest narrative and doing whatever. What I'm hoping this committee will do with all of these talented people around this table is to engage.
Yes.
Meaning you won't ask the question about what our council person is doing or why our council person has not, participated in this. He probably has his reasons. I'm not being judgmental, but so year round, while this is happening simultaneously, when we talk about community surveys, we're going to be surveying them. We have to get to them. That's the real idea of a seat at the table.
Yep.
So we're going to the speaker and we're going to the council, and we're not just going to wait for someone to be our hand holder or ambassador to take us into the council. We can go there, ourselves, and by that meaning engagement. Yes, of course, we're going to testify at the hearings, but there are meetings that are being held. There are plans that are being implemented, and we're not at the table. So part of district needs is really, and that even goes to Mr. Baggett's question. We're going to ask them the question, what's your 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, plan, for this or capital and doing whatever, and bring that information out and see if we can assist in this process of district needs to incorporate some of that. So that's I'm just answering Williams's question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just picking up on that, I think that it is our responsibility to tell our elected representatives what we want.
Sure.
Rather than going to them and asking them, what do you plan? What is your plan?
Absolutely.
We tell them what the plan should be revolving around. We direct them.
We end up having, like, for example, I'm seeing
That's
all
our
of this. I see signage go up on Adam Clayton Powell Jr. They're putting up bus things, the eye up there. And they put one right in front of my church.
Yep.
So does that mean that they're creating a bus lane? Nobody can answer the question. So I wrote to Lyle Blackwood, and the people at DOT to say, what's the plan? Because we know that they just come and start redrawing lines and repaving streets and doing whatever. We don't know. We don't know as community boards are doing whatever. Somebody decided to do this probably And, you know, Benjamin, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, you're right, though, Cindy, we have to tell them the one thing that we know we want is we want more access to information, more data, you know, and more participation in the plans before it becomes final.
Exactly.
That's what we've been talking about. That's what I'm saying about greater government engagement. It's the trains running simultaneously. We're creating these documents, but we're also, you know, getting better educated as we were tonight, better informed, and better armed to go and make that engagement. That's what I meant by when Hazel was saying, you know, and she did it for the NAACP. Obviously, she didn't have to worry about it because everywhere she went, what was Hazel doing? Knocking on doors, demanding entry.
That's right.
That's what John Lewis talked about, creating that good trouble.
I stayed in it.
So that's what we're really, you know, talking about. And thank you.
So what I was going to suggest, my part two of my question was, we need to figure out how to have this working relationship with the council office around this budget stuff, so it can even be more effective.
Absolutely.
So, because I've been sitting in meetings, I have yet to see the budget director come to the community board from the council. I've yet to see the budget director of the state senate come to this board. I have yet to see the person that does the budget for the assembly person. So maybe part of our request is to get to know those people.
Absolutely.
That could be where the engagement is,
That's
because
what-
they're actually doing the work.
Yeah, they should come to a meeting.
They could go, exactly.
That's.
And as you also know,
I didn't mean to
they
cut you
discretionary
off, Peter.
funds, they're doing discretionary funds of all these groups and stuff. We kind of need to be plugged in.
Absolutely. So,
Yep.
Stephanie, keep going. Where else do you want to
Just like,
take us? Because there's got to be some takeaways from where we are. Because guys, the other reason, this is June.
yeah,
So we have to make some decisions. We agreed that we were going to be this district needs task force. There's no way in the world that we can wait until September. You know, so there's work to be done. So talk to us a little bit about what that work needs to be.
a couple of things. I think, we know what has to happen. We've said, and I shared this last time, I apologize for not being at the last meeting, but I did say that each committee needs to develop a public engagement strategy to be conducted this summer. It has to happen. We
Yes.
can't wait till we come back and then go into a rush mode. Is Donna still on? I keep raising Donna up because she did I think one of the most unique things, and that was to take paper surveys to senior centers and have them fill it. We had lunch with them. You know, we brought candy and flowers and they filled out those forms and it was amazing. So we thought about churches. Can we go to churches is another place to basically figure out, can we get folks to fill out this form? But we have every year increased the number. But again, you know, we really want to have a sample that makes sense. And who's missing? Young people.
Yeah.
So we're working with a former board member, Chanel Washington, to talk about youth speaks, but what we really want to know is that they speak through this survey.
Yeah.
You know, making sure we have a significant number of young people filling it out and looking at what other groups. I got that from Donna. So besides seniors, besides youth, where else do we need to target? And the hospitals, the health, and, you know, what is going on there in schools? So we really need to have each committee look at a strategy for public engagement. One of the things that we did was to everybody who spoke to us at our committee meeting this year, we got an email address. So we're guest presenters. We're going to mail to them to ask them to fill out the survey. And sometimes when it comes from a personal contact, you know, you've been working with your committee, people are more responsive. So basically looking at how we reach out to folks to increase the number. And then the second thing.
Well, let's just pause there for a moment because I have a question. Well, go ahead, Dulcie.
Yeah,
You
quick
asked.
question. Do we have a way or are we been, I don't remember we did it with the year before last when I was working with you, but do we have a way of tracking where most of the response come from? So, you know, you get more responses, say, from the area around Riverton and Lenox Terrace and that? Or do you get most responses from people who live in NYCHA? I mean, or different pockets, you know, and, you know, that should be finding out where the response comes from should be a part of our strategy for where we go.
I absolutely, and listen, I couldn't say it better. I think tracking is important. The city does, Department of Planning actually has developed the survey, and that's the survey that we use, and they will basically look at how many we got back. But they're
Yeah.
not looking at zip codes and those kinds of things, and that's
Right.
some of the stuff I think we need to take to the next level. So
Mhm.
we know where we need to hit. So I
Right.
absolutely think the role of this committee is looking at how do we track and monitor what's happening with the distribution of the survey, the public engagement, and the response. This for me, I hope will be a home where we look at that.
Well, my question was, we are the last, no, actually, tomorrow night is the last committee to meet for this term until September. We just heard that we are getting out so that every committee will do an engagement, strategy. How's that gonna happen before September?
That's a question for me. I think that one of the most frustrating tasks has been having the accountability without the responsibility. How do we basically say to folks, we need you to get this done? Listen, we spend time chasing board members to fill out the survey, so I think we have to do, my recommendation would be that as the committee, we reach out to the committee chairs. I think that's how we still continue to keep them engaged. I don't think we need to have an ad hoc committee. I think we still need to support them and work with them because they're gonna be, for me, the first line of defense.
Well,
I have an idea.
Go ahead, Lydell.
Why don't you do this, Wednesday, have a 5-minute speech, tell you want volunteers to come out, you want for the leaders as well, because Wednesday is the last time you're talking for the summer as well. Wednesday, you need to come, do talking point, Wednesday.
I like it.
Is it?
I have an idea.
What's happening Wednesday?
Special
meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the exec committee?
Not Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, it is Wednesday.
Yeah, it is Wednesday,
Who's the
20th.
executive?
All right, so I guess that's the
Executive,
20th.
every, all board members gonna be there to vote as well.
So it's not an executive committee, it's a special meeting.
Exactly.
So that was
I thought it's.
Oh, it's not. We don't have-
Anyway,
Wednesday.
So can I make a suggestion while it's in my head before it goes out?
yeah,
So, yeah, so it's so most of we have, how many new people do we have on the board?
14 or 13.
14 or 13,
Yeah.
and that's a lot. And so I'm thinking, it's kind of out there, but I'm thinking that these people just started in June. Now we're going on summer hiatus. So these people are coming in with all of this enthusiasm. They become a member of the board. Let's give them something to do. I'm serious. Invite new members to
I
be a part.
love the idea because for me, I did it that way. And it was the best way to get a sense of the community board and who you were
Yeah.
working with and the community. So I
Yeah,
volunteered.
I think
great idea.
I think that even beyond that, I think that, we don't have anything to do with the way the thing is set up, but I mean, I think we need to be engaged with these people and not have them come to one meeting in June and then you're gone for 2 months and then they come back in September. We are working over the summer probably. They're just out there. So I think this could be a method to get to. Why are you laughing, Brianna? Why are you cracking up?
Yeah, so I don't think we.
No.
I think we've heard the idea, and we better be.
Oh, am I being
planning
long-winded?
to engage in some respect. This committee, everything has to be led, but when you
Yes.
said even what you did. Does that, who actually will bring those people together, utilize their resources over the summer. Someone has to do it. My belief, as I've said to Stephanie, and I'm sharing with this, if we made the commitment, then that's this committee.
Yeah.
That this committee will continue to function. I don't know
Yeah.
how we're gonna do it over the summer.
Yeah.
That this committee will be that resource. And in my opinion, we have enough board chairs or former chairs here that we don't have to do a whole lot of outreach to a bunch of other people.
That's right.
We have officers here, we have chairs here, we have vice chairs here.
Yeah.
And we can invite them to come on, but it would seem to me that there is a July and August meeting that we need to be thinking about doing. I love your idea, Del, saying we should have a special invitation to all of Mr. Mita, and all of our rest of our new people to come on. But it's gotta originate from something. We have it. So that's. I'm just gonna recommend.
I wanted to, go ahead.
Is there hands up?
Just to add.
Wait, Donna's hands up and then you can come in there. Was that what you were texting me?
That's what
about?
I'm saying, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Yes, I understand. Stephanie, thanks for all the hard work that you do. What I wanted to say is, because we now exist as a government and budget committee, please, I would like us to stress to the committee chairs of all other committees, this does not negate them having to be involved in the district needs. Because now
again.
when you have a committee, people are gonna think, well, I don't have to do anything
Yep.
because they're gonna do it. And I don't think that that is what should happen. Yes, Charles, I do believe we should meet in July and August, but I also know that we need to let the community chairs know that this is something that is necessary, this is the district needs, and they have to be involved in this because you're gonna have Stephanie again doing all the work, and that's not fair.
But
Thank
Stephanie, Stephanie, you should get on the agenda.
I think Mina wanted to say something.
Agenda.
I'm not disagreeing, first of all I was really saying is that someone always has to lead this. I mean, we're saying there is not gonna be a task force. This committee is the district needs, entity. So whether we're sending an email out before the end of this month by July 15th to all chairs of committees, asking them to engage. I think that, at the end of the day, if they don't respond, what happens? We better be prepared to do the work is all I'm really saying. Of course, I think we should send out recruit them, schedule a meeting for them to come to and do whatever. Let's see what the attendance was like when the others are gonna say, wait a minute, I thought we were off for the months of July and August. I'm asking for commitment here at this table to be able to say, as we did it, and we did it successfully with bylaws task force. 7, 8, 9 consecutive Sundays that we were on there, and we had good attendance from people who made commitment. Is this committee prepared, since we took on this responsibility, to commit to work over the summer? And I say, yes. I am. I'm hoping that others will be, because somebody's got to lead it. As Lydell is saying, we're gonna raise it on Wednesday, and then who are we gonna tell them to be in contact with? Stephanie or this committee? We have to have a process by which we are gonna organize, people and give, agendas and give tasks and tell them what it is. I'll set up, that's all I'm saying.
Nina had a question.
Or
It
thought.
was a comment, but I was in agreement. I think Wednesday really set the tone. And then also I think as a recommendation, I think as you start to move into the fall, potentially you want to have a similar presentation given at various committee meetings, or given at one of your summer meetings, so that chairs and vice chairs also have a better understanding of how they are looking at the budget. Then come September, as September going into October, as committee chairs are adding this to their agenda, as we did previously adding this to the agenda, that we are making sure that we invite our council members' office, whether it's a budget director or liaison, but that they are then reporting out what the discussion was within that committee, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's economic development, and how then, once we submit the district needs, that we can have a final document to review with the council member's office, so that they can carry that on once we get into capital funding time, which is January going into February, and making sure that our council member has that at top of mind.
Okay, everything is good. Here's my suggestion, next steps, but we're getting ready to close out unless there are announcements. This meeting. You're making the presentation to the executive committee on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes, better than Stephanie.
I listen. Then
That's just asking the question, next step.
I am so happy that this work has a home. There are enough roles for lots of people. Miguel and Mina will have a schedule of events during the summer where I volunteered to sit with and give out that survey and ask them. So from that to writing narrative, there's a list of roles. I just want to make sure everybody is invested.
So at the meeting, just you need to tell at the meeting what your plans are. People, they don't know what you want, what you would do for the summer.
Exactly, Adele. I'm simply saying, I'm following what was said here. The next opportunity, and maybe the last opportunity before the summer, for us to speak to the chairs of committees will be at the executive committee meeting on Wednesday. And I'm simply asking the question, are we making the pitch and the presentation to them on Wednesday with some specific asks for them to do? So this is Monday.
Definitely.
Okay, and
Definitely.
so that's number one. What are we asking them to do on Wednesday?
We're asking them to engage, develop and engage with this, the survey link is out. So we have the survey link. So we want them to fill it out themselves, but we also want them to look at further engagement strategies, and make sure that a minimum your committee members fill it out. Outreach to them, but also presenters and folks who were guests during the meeting. We also want them to review the budget request from this current year, from 26. We really need them to look, because when we start drafting that narrative, if something has been funded, we want to celebrate it and say thank you. But if it hasn't, we need to reach out to the agency to say, what happened? You want more specific information? How specific? But that needs to start. So we want to ask them to do that as well.
Okay, so we're gonna have
And you need volunteers. as well.
Volunteer.
those requests. So there are 3 or 4 things. I know that we have a recording of this, so Miguel, I think that should come out tomorrow, I believe.
First thing in the morning.
And Stephanie, you need to look at that. That is the AI companion. You see that little star that's going there at the top? And it's gonna tell you exactly what the next steps are. And it's gonna lay it out. And I think that that's the request. So I'm just saying, you know, that from this committee, we as a committee are in agreement that, you know, Chair Palmer will make this request. It would be helpful to say what those 3 or 4 things are. I think that others can engage because again, tracking to me means who's honoring the request. So what are we asking them to do to basically, you know, acknowledge? Are they copying us on their emails to their committees that they're gonna send out before they close the books on this year? You know, are they sending us a list of their recommended outreach, you know, and have that, you know, closed out before the year, giving some time frame? I'm just saying it needs to be structured and managed. And I think it's a great idea, you know, but, you know, it's a little late. So those are just those are just my thoughts. Do we have a hand up?
Donna.
Yes, I have an
That would be the
announcement.
last point before
I
we
know, it's an announcement.
get out of
Okay,
this
so
hot office.
we're having a senior forum on Wednesday. I know a whole lot is going on Wednesday from 1 to 4 p.m. The flyer should be in the office. And we're gonna be talking about senior centers, federal and state cuts, quality of life and mental health, senior safety, technology, and advocacy. It's gonna be at the Kennedy Center, 34 West, 134th Street, and there is a QR code, but walk-in is also required, so you don't have to RSVP. Everyone is welcome. Okay?
So
Thank
Donna,
you.
what I'm hearing is that this could be a really, really good kickoff to this process. I've heard that we're gonna look at any of a number of other activities over the summer, the public events. But most importantly, as I've said, it's gotta be 2 trains running. It is not just the community who are pretty much gonna tell us a lot of what we already know. They're gonna say it's housing, they're gonna say it's public safety, they're gonna say it's, you know, it's education, they're gonna say it's health. You know, I think what I'm hearing is that let's take this a little further and start meeting with our council person, meet with, as William said, with the budget, you know, folks from others, and really, really just try to push an edge and say, look, we've been telling you this for 2 or 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. you know, and now it's time for us to get funded for some of the things that we're asking for. While that public survey train is running, we better start knocking on some doors. I'll stop, you know, at that. Are there any other thoughts, comments?
One final one.
Yes.
When we man the tables this summer, we usually have competition because there are other tables and people are giving away things and we have nothing to give away. So I'm really requesting that we get some hand sanitizer, baby fans, I don't know, whatever. But a budget request that we can have something as a giveaway when we ask people to fill out our flyer.
You know what people really like? And I find this out.
What's that?
Candy.
Candy, refrigerator magnets.
Okay.
People really like, I've done a whole lot of different kinds of things, and people like that better than pens. They like it better than, we get requests, like in our tenant association.
So we need some
You know,
tchotchke, we
yeah, we
need
need a tchotchke.
some, you know, some
Refrigerator
things to
magnets.
hand out.
Excellent.
We have a new budget coming in we should have some money coming January 1, so.
January.
July 1.
All right, but everyone who has any access to any of this stuff, you know, I'm gonna look at, as I always do, you know, at the church to see what we have around. We've done, so let's everybody look and see where we have it in our stockpiles. There's usually a lot of stuff around. I'll ask the chamber, you know, what we can, you know, come up with to be able to put at our tables that, like you said, that would.
Well, when I was talking about that, I was talking about, I guess we don't have a budget to do our own. I was thinking about, you know, for refrigerator mat, let's say Manhattan Community Board without logo.
No, he said that they're gonna look into the budget that comes
Oh,
into
okay.
effect on July
Oh,
one.
he was saying, let's figure.
I'm just looking at, you know, of something beyond your refrigerator mag.
Oh.
That's all I was saying.
refrigerator
We got that. We going with the refrigerator magnet. That's number one.
Okay.
We're gonna have a pointed finger
All
saying.
right.
Number one. Number, and refrigerator. What else?
We want to hear from you.
Okay, so this has been a good meeting. I don't know about any of you, but that fan ain't working for me and it's hot.
It's not.
And,
It's not working.
you know, I am going to really suggest that we come to a conclusion. Thank you all who have joined online. Any of the, Brianna, anything before we go? They'll send you, Stephanie,
Great
you know,
meeting.
Lundell, Mr. Maestro, you know, Dawn, anyone else, any comments, any announcements? Donna, thank you for reminding us about Wednesday for the senior event. There are flyers here. Please vote for the people's money. And unless there's something further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. No objection.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you.